All right, Bahamas, let's go to work. I'm waking you all up this morning, so we still in our series on Satanism. And what we're discussing now, we're discussing the how. The how is this satanic activity even allowed? How is it perpetrated? How is it being perpetuated in the Bahamas, in the world? So what did we discuss last Sunday? What we discussed is how is it possible to be under a spell? And what did we say? The devil is the father of lies. So when you see people under a spell where they acted in a nature that God didn't intend it, it's because they were lied to. It's as simple as that. If you see a young girl out there, she's being promiscuous, she was lied to. She was told because she didn't have a father, she could be a victim. Instead of being a lady, she's a harlot. She was told that she may have told herself that. A man she was with may have told her that she's nothing. Her mother may have told her that, but she was lied to. We looked at the armies of the world committing genocide. They were lied to. They believe that because they are in the army, they could go ahead and kill people and not have to face hell and not think that that's a sin. If you out there and you in the army, you committing people, you killing people for your country, you think you don't have to answer to God for that? You think just because you're a prime minister or you're a president who's telling you to go out there and kill, you think that it's okay, that absolve you from your sin? And that's what I'm trying to say. You were lied to. So that's what we spoke about. We spoke about the fact that people are acting like robots because of propaganda. They were lied to when they were little. They were lied to when they were adults. They lied to themselves because the devil is the father of lies. And that's how you cast a spell. So every spell is a lie and every lie is a spell. And if you want to put someone under a spell, you simply get them to believe your lie. And you can get them to do whatever you want them to do. That won't call over. All right. So what we're discussing today, we're still in the how. What we're discussing today is how Bahamas. How is it possible that there's so much demonic activity in our country and we're a Christian nation? So how is it possible that we see demonic activity from generation to generation? We see one corrupt political system come in, whether it's the FNM, the next one corrupt is the PLP, and I'm sure it'll be another one, it's the UBP before them. So you see all these corrupt political systems is from generation to generation. We talk about the generational curse today. That's what we're talking about. So we're talking about demonic activity. And in order for me to tell you how is it possible, I got to tell you what it is. We got to look at this first. So I got a story for you guys. It's going to be good. I got a long story, so I got to read it a lot. So for instance, and ain't even no warm up. For instance, it's no warm up today. I can't warm you all up. We jumping right into it. So this one going to be like a cold shower. So what we doing today? So let me be clear, because I was talking fast, because I ain't got much time. So what we doing today is this. We're looking at demonic activity. And we're looking at how is it being perpetuated? How is it being forwarded or inserted or basically put in the DNA of our kids, in the DNA of our people, where we see from generation to generation to generation doing the exact same thing. Whether it's sweethearting, whether it's teething, whatever it is. And that's what we're looking at today. And we're looking at how is that becoming the norm or acceptable in our society? Demonic activity. So we're looking at the how. And we're still in Satanism. So let's say a prayer and we're going to jump into this story. So God, we pray that you may bless us. God is protect us and help us in everything we do, dear Heavenly Father, to put God first. To always be conscious of other people, to always be kind in our words and our thoughts. And dear Heavenly Father, in all things, to know that God is in charge. In Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. All right, let's go to work. So we're discussing the how. So listen to this story. We're in Luke chapter 8 and Mark chapter 5. So it's basically the same story, just two accounts. So let's go to Luke chapter 8. So we're in Luke chapter 8. And before I can tell you how this demonic activity is occurring, we got to look at what it is or what it looks like. So listen to this story. This is a story of Legion. And this is verse 27. And when Jesus went forth to the land, there met him from the city a certain man who had devils a long time, and wore no clothes, and neither abode in any house, but in the graveyard. So here it is. What's the most important thing you see here? Because see, we're looking at demonic activity. Look at what it says, and I'll read it for you again. It says, he had devils for a long time. So now picture this, Bahamas. Let's say you're a Christian and you had Jesus for a long time. So basically you had the peace that surpasses all understanding. You got a relationship with God because you had Jesus for a long time. So nothing has moved you. You've seen it all before. So you had Jesus for a long time. But here is saying that this man had devils for a long time. So let's look at what that means, or let's look at the type of activities that this man is getting into. Listen to this. He had devils for a long time and he wore no clothes. Now, Bahamas, let's go to work. What does that mean? Let's bring that into the modern day era. He wore no clothes. So let me talk to the wives. I'm talking to all the wives who husband out there sweethearting. Because see, the thing is this. In order for you to sweetheart, you ain't wearing no clothes. In order for you to get involved or to perpetrate that sexual activity, you ain't wearing no clothes. So for all the women out there, I'm doing this for the women out there, for the wives who husband out there, and you can't understand for the life of you why he out there and he ain't wearing no clothes. Why he out there sleeping around? What did the Bible say? The Bible said he had devils for a long time. Say, I'm going to work today. That's why you gotta pray. See, you don't pray for your husband. You gotta pray with your husband. That's the problem. You gotta pray with him, not for him. You gotta pray with him. So you can't understand why your husband is cheating, but the Bible tell you he was naked. He been sleeping around because he had devils for a long time. So what does that mean? Because see, when you talk to that man, you know what that man may say? My daddy used to do the same thing. My daddy had a sweetheart. So this goes from generation to generation. Because what did the Bible say? He had devils for a long time. Let's go deeper with this one. He can say to you, you know what? I just started cheating. But guess what? He was looking at porn from since he was 12. From since he was 12 years old, he was watching pornography, a bunch of naked people. What did the Bible say? The Bible said the man was naked. The people are naked. He was watching porn, a bunch of naked people from since he was 12. He a grown man now. So he had that demon for a long, long time. That's what I'm trying to get you. See, I try to bring this point. Because this is the modern day. When you go on social media, what do you see on Facebook? People with no clothes on. Let me go to work. Let's say you got a husband. He out there cheating. So you can't understand why he all over the place naked. But now you know he had demons for a long, long time. But watch this. All of a sudden, your daughter walking out the house half naked. She going to a party. And you can't understand why she half naked. And the Bible tell you the demons were there for a long, long. Let me read it for you again. And Jesus went forth into the land. And what did it say? And there met him from a city a man who had devils for a long time. And he wore no clothes. And that's what I'm trying to get you. I can wrap this in a minute. What I'm trying to get you is this. The simple fact of the matter is, what does it mean to wear clothes? Clothes is the first thing that someone sees. So what does the Bible say? Clothe yourself with humility. But if you out there sleeping around, you sweetheart, and then you ain't got no shame. You ain't got no humility. So people naked, why? Because instead of clothing themselves with humility, they clothing themselves with embarrassment. They don't care what people got to say. I get 3 and 4 sweethearts. They proud of that. And that's why you can't pray for him. You got to pray with him. Let's go to work. Let's continue on. And what does it say? And I'll read it for you again because we're looking at demonic activity. Before I can tell you how this is being perpetrated, I got to give you the why and the what. And the what is, what does it look like? And listen to what it says. And Jesus went forth into the land. And there was a certain man who had devils for a long time. And he wore no clothes, neither abode in any house. Now that's deep. I'm still talking to the wives. I'm talking to the wives today. That's deep. Think about it like this. Let me talk to the wives today who going through something. So you say to yourself, I used to do everything for this man. The only thing I want this man to do for me is keep his clothes on when he leave this house. That's it. Just keep your clothes on. You're a grown man. You ain't a child no more. When I met you, you was a child and you was doing dirt. But you're a grown man and we ain't playing house. We got churn together. So when you leave this house, I can get behind me. When you leave this house, keep on your clothes. But the problem is the Bible tell you, not only did he have demons for a long, long time, but as a result, he had no home to abode in. So what does that mean if he ain't in his house? He got no problem being naked. Why? Because he in the Airbnb, he in the car, he in the beach. Come on, he in the water at the beach. You know how Bahamians go, they cut a movie anywhere. Anywhere he can cheat, that's where he's cheating. He in the office cheating. He may be in the parking lot of the church. You hear the stories. That's what I try to you, Bahamas. So you can't wrap around your head. Why is it that this man, a grown man, can't keep his clothes on? My little child can keep his clothes on. But my husband, grown husband, can't keep his clothes on when he leaves his house because he abodes in no home. He live in the car. That's where he used to do all his dirt. Come on, he go deep with this one. What did David say? David was one of the biggest philanthropists, or biggest, what's the word I call it? One of the most promiscuous men in the Bible. David liked a bunch of women. So what did David say? After Bathsheba, what did David say? David said, I was happy when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord, because he ain't had no house. He was sleeping with everybody. Ain't going to work today. Bahamas here to make this one quick. But I'm trying to get you to see what demonic activity looks like. In fact, let me go deep. What's this? It said Jesus went forth into a land and he met a man from a certain city. This city don't sound like Nassau to you? Come on, I'm talking about demonic activity. The people naked, the people they living in their own house, they in everybody else's house, but they ain't in their own house. They in the car, they in the parking lot, they in the office, they at the beach, they in the church doing dirt. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So what I'm trying to do is look at what demonic activity looks like, but I got to bring this one home. I got to talk with the sweetheart because there's too much of that going on. Let's continue on. And listen how the story goes. I only at the beginning. That's why I talk so fast. I'm at the beginning of the story, but I got a lot to read. And when Jesus went forth to the land, there met him from the city a man who had devils a very long time. See, that's the problem. They've been sweethearting for years, for generations. It's a national pastime. It's part of the culture. It's a terrible thing, Bahamas. And he wore no clothes. Neither he abode in any house. But listen to this, but in the graveyard. So now, what does that mean? What does it mean that he lived in the graveyard? I can take my time on this one. Let me sit up. What it means when it says he lived in the graveyard is simply this. What is the graveyard full of, Bahamas? The graveyard is full of people who said, you know what? I'm going to change tomorrow. But guess what? Tomorrow never came. See, that's the problem. Let me go deep. I can be serious now. No more joking around. Because we talk about demonic activity, and too much of the leaders are plagued with it. See, that's the problem. So the problem is he lived in the graveyard. And the problem with the graveyard is it's full of men. It's full of people. Let me not just say men. It's full of people who said, you know what? I'm going to change tomorrow, but tomorrow never came. And the problem with that is a lot of these people are alive and kicking. And they pulling other people in the graveyard with them. What I mean is the people who say, you know what, I can stop drinking. But they never stopped until it was too late. Now they're living with a demon. They had this demon of alcoholism for a very long time. And they feel like their life over. But the problem is they get children dependent on them. So it's a generational curse. Let's go to work. I can take my time with this. I can take my time. I ain't got much time, but I can take my time. We go deep with this one. So what is the biggest graveyard in Nassau? Because see, it ain't Woodlawn. That answer would be wrong. The biggest graveyard in Nassau is Foxhill Prison. You get thousands of men coming in and out. And they need someone to lift their spirits. Why? Because they feel dead. Take it back to the Bible. What happened to Lazarus? When Lazarus died, you know what happened to him? His sisters, Mary and Martha, had to go get Jesus to lift his spirits. But that's happening every single day at Foxhill Prison. Why? Because they feel dead. And their mummy got to come there. When mummy come there with the food, she's bring Jesus. And that's the only thing that can lift their spirits and make them feel better about what they're going through. Let's go to work, Bahamas. That's what I'm saying, Bahamas. We talk about demonic activity. I'm being serious now. Who is the worst of the worst in society? Like, who going through it? It's the prisoners. Once you get on your record, you can't go away. You can't go to Miami. You can't get a job. You know how hard it is? You get a college degree and can't find a job. Imagine when you get a prison sentence, a prison record. Once you got something on your record. Let's talk about that. But the problem is this. If we all in this together, we only as strong as our weakest link. And if the weakest link are those who are impoverished, those who are in prison, then how is it that we ain't got no prison reform? See, that's the problem. Every single election, we build new roads. Why are we building new roads? You don't think the people who building the roads, the private entities, you know who they are. They don't have enough money. Why they don't build a new prison? Like, you can't talk to me about prison reform. It's impossible for you to tell me that you have people in there getting their GED when they even get running water. Like, you think we stupid? Bahamas, they think we stupid. They gotta think we stupid. Think about it, Bahamas. How you could tell me you get prison reform if they even get running water? If they still go in the slop buckets? Come on, Bahamas, let's think about this. That'd be impossible. So why am I telling this to you? See, this is important. This is an important one. So I'm talking to the rich now. This is an important one. Let me tell you something. The problem is you think you're safe because you're in your gated community. You're in the Palm Keys, you're in the Treasure Cove, you're in the Life of Keys, you're in the Old Fort Bays, you're in the Charlottesville. You're in your gated community. But you know what the problem is? The biggest gated community in the Bahamas is Fox Hill Prison. Let's go to work. And when they come out their gated community and you come out your gated community, what can happen? Because we don't care about the demonic activity that's going on that's keeping them in there. Let me go deep with this one. It's something called systemic poverty. You know what systemic poverty is? Systemic poverty is when you have an economy that's based or has a direct derivative from outside or underground trade. So what it means is this. In order for our GDP to grow, in order for our people to survive, we basically need a black market. I'll give you an example. You need numbers. Why they say we need numbers? Because if the government teething and they ain't giving the people opportunity, and you create an underground market so that people can get jobs selling numbers, then guess what? It's systemic poverty, because in order for your economy to grow, in order for the Bahamian economy to grow, in order for the people to eat, you have to have an element of the black market within that society, that dark money. They just call it darkness. In order for your society to function, you gotta have drugs running through the society. Let's go deep with this one. Because see, this is the problem. We go way back with this one. Why is it that we have systemic poverty? What did the Bible say? The demons been there a very, very long time. We can go to 25 years with Celine and Oscar Penland, with Joe Leader, when drugs was coming through. Think about the Bahamas. What did we need to keep the company or the country afloat? We needed Christ, but instead we got that drug money, so a lot of people was eating. And when that dried up, a lot of people wasn't eating no more. But the point I'm trying to make to you is, the demons been here a very, very long time. So let's go back to the worst people. Let's go back to the people who are going through something in society. The prisoners. So is it prison reform? You go to prison to reform, or you go to prison to get raped? Let's be real with this one. Because if you're not taking care of the prisoners, no lights. I mean, one of the worst prisons in the entire world is inhumane. And we ain't doing nothing to help these people. What is the biggest university in the Bahamas? Somebody tell me that. Because it ain't COB. The biggest university is Fox Hill Prison. They just call it Gladiator School. And guess what? When you go to COB, you just go there once. You go there for a couple of years, and you done. When you go to Fox Hill Prison, you learn how to be a better criminal for 5, 10, 15 years. And guess what? If you're a career criminal, then you get continuous education. So I stay in and out of there. So guess what? I haven't got to go through it. It just makes sense. Think about it, Bahamas. If the biggest university is Fox Hill Prison, where people spending 10, 15 years getting that criminal education, and they in and out, so they getting continuous education. Who you think stronger? You been to COB for your 3 and your 4 years, or me who been in Fox Hill Prison for 10? I get a doctorate in this. Come on, in criminality, I'm a doctor. You know, on my level. So when I scope out your house and I come there to do something, you ain't even know what's going on. You can't even peep this in, because see, you ain't street smart. So who can take over? So when you talk about, the criminal element taking over, they gotta take over. They not the wisest, but they're the most educated among us. I'm going to work, I'm keeping it real. They're the most educated among us, so they have to be taken over. They've been to school for 10, 15 years. They get continuous education. I've been to school for 4 years. I never understand the street hustle. You don't know what's going on when they case in your house. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to tell you, Bahamas, is this. We're talking about demonic activity. And what did God say? It's been here for a very, very long time. Let me read it for you again. And listen to what it says. You can see that was a little rant. So let me recap. So what did it say? Jesus went forth into the land, and there met him a city with a certain mind that had devils a very long time. What I'm trying to tell you is that mind could be from now. So I promise you, because we had these devils a very, very long time. And they wore no clothes. That's sweetheart. And they ain't living in no house. And they were in the graveyard. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to tell you is we're looking at what does it look like. Before I can tell you the how this is being perpetrated from generation to generation, we got to look at what does it look like. And let's go to the next verse. And what does it say? And he had often been bound with handcuffs and chains. And the chains had been torn apart by him, and the handcuffs broken in pieces. And neither any man or no man could tame him. So this gotta sound like Nasser to you. Sorry, so let me talk to the women now. He was bound with handcuffs and chains. So what's the modern day handcuff? That's a Cartier bracelet. That's the Rolex watch. I can need that on my wrist. I'm talking to the ladies now who like the jewelry. And what's the chains? I see that's a gold rope chain. I'm telling you, I can need that. And so what I'm trying to tell you is this. The only difference between then and now, because we talk about slavery now, being a slave to sin, being a slave to the riches, the cars, the money, and all the nice things. The only difference between then and now is when we were slaves then, all the bracelets, the chains, the handcuffs, they were made out of iron. Today they made out of gold. So the metal changed, but they still serve the same purpose. And what is that purpose? Listen to what it said, and I'll read it for you. The purpose is this. No man can tame them. And that's the problem. What I'm trying to tell you is they're giving you this money to tame you. So when you see a union leader not speaking up, when you see the prime minister get that gay rainbow flying over the U.S. embassy and he's not speaking up, they've already been tamed. When you see the executives sending off our jobs to foreigners, and they bringing foreigners in, they have been tamed. All these men have been tamed. They puppets. All these leaders, they already been tamed. How have they been tamed? But the same thing that tamed us years ago, back to slavery. Say, I'm going back to slavery. Why am I going back to slavery? Because what did the Bible say? These demons been with us a very, very long time. They just switch it up. The demons say, you know what? We can't use these iron shackles no more. I can need some gold Cartiers, some Rolexes, some rope chains, and then I can still tame them. I can tame an entire nation. I can tame your leaders. They all puppets. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Let's go to work. Let's continue on. Let's go to work. I think I had a lot to read, but I talked a lot. I went on a ride. All right. And listen to this. And when he saw Jesus, you can see I try to get to the how. I try to get to the how is all of this demonic activity perpetrated. See, we know what it looks like. And what do we talk about? If you go on social media, on Facebook, people half naked on Facebook. Why does people half naked on Facebook? Like, why are you taking off your clothes? Before time, we used to be sharing. Why are people taking off their clothes, taking a picture of it, and then putting it on Facebook? That makes sense to you, Bahamas? Like I said, the people are naked. We're looking at all the demonic activity, but the question is why. I'm trying to get to the why. We get to the why now. Or how is this being allowed to happen? But first, I got to tell you what it looks like. So we know what it looks like now. But how or why is it being allowed to happen? So listen to the story. I continue. I got to rush a little bit. All right. In verse 28, I got to rush a little bit. And when he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him. And with a loud voice said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not. So here it is, the man was in fear, or the demons were in fear. But continue to listen to the story. For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of him, for oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept bound with chains and fetters, and he broke the bands and was driven by the devil into the wilderness. And Jesus asked him, saying, what is thy name? And he said, Legion, because we are many devils who have entered into him. And they besought Jesus that he would not command them to go into the deep or the depth or the abyss or into hell. And there were a herd of many swine feeding on the mountain, and they besought Jesus and said, suffer us, let us go into the swine. And Jesus allowed them to. Then went the devils out of the man and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep slope in the lake and choked themselves. And when those who fed them saw what was done, they fled and went and told it to the city and in the country. And then they went out to see what was done. And they came to Jesus, and they found him. And they found the man with whom the devils had departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. So here it is, and that's important. Remember now, this man had been with devils for years. And what was he? He was unclothed. He was not in his right mind. After a few minutes with Jesus, listen to what it said. They went to see him, and when they came, they saw the man who had the devils departed from him, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those also who had seen it told them by what means that he had been possessed by the devil was healed. Then the whole multitude of the country of the Genazarenes and round about besought him to depart from them, for they were taken with great fear. And Jesus went into the boat and returned back again. All right. So now we're talking about how this demonic activity perpetrates or is being perpetuated from generation to generation to generation. Because remember now, these demons been there for a long time. So that's what we're talking about. Now, the important part of it is this. Why did the people want Jesus to leave? Because see, when you hear a lot of preachers preach about this, right? Or a lot of people talk about this, they say, oh, because the pigs were a part of people's livelihood, and because Jesus destroyed the pigs, it upset them, and so they want, that don't even make no sense. Maybe it was a small, actually, let me not be mean. Maybe that was a small part of why they wanted to believe, but that's not the real reason. The real reason why they wanted Jesus to believe is this. Listen to what it says. They came and they saw Jesus with the man, and the man was sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. So now watch this. You got a whole population from all about into the city. Now, you think that man was the only one who had demons? Because watch this now. We talk about how it looked modern day. We talk about modern day demonic activity. And this is how it gets perpetuated. So follow me. You have a group of people, the rest of the population came and saw this man sitting in his right mind. So all these other people who got demons, because watch this, Bahamas, remember what the Bible says. The devil comes as an angel of light. So I'm talking about all the leaders of this country who had demons. But these demons, they had to run around naked. Because see, the devil has come as an angel of light. This is a modern day Satan who ain't got you dribbling and doing a bunch of foolishness. This how the corruption has come every single 4 or 5 years. This is a cycle I'm talking about. So the leaders came now, and they got their own demons. And when they look, and their demons say, what the heck did they do to Legion? Because see, they trying to wonder, where's Legion? There's a whole bunch of them. Because as far as they're concerned, Legion was running things. You know what could have team Legion? Where's Legion? And if this man or if God willing to do that to Legion, imagine what he do to us. So now their demons, because see, that's what's talking. Their demons are like, all right, Jesus, you got to go. So the people who are afraid, this was about no pigs. This is about all the leaders who had demons, who needed Jesus out of there. Because see, this is how it gets perpetuated. This is how demonic activity continues. See, when you have one election and the same corruption coming the next. Let me give you an example. You have one set of people, and they say, you know what? No taxes on helicopters, no taxes on planes. Come on, Bahamas. They're doing it for the rich. The rich lobby them. No taxes on them. Duty free. Planes, helicopters, we crack joke. And then the next election, your boys come in and they say no taxes on luxury boats, the yachts. Come on, Bahamas. They in league. So what I'm trying to tell you is this. The reason why demonic activity gets perpetuated because the devil comes as the angel of light. And you so worried about the criminals at Fox Hill who we ain't reforming, and you refuse to reform the politicians. You put them right back in. When they there doing the foolishness with the shingles and the rest of the stuff, you putting them right back in. The same cronies, the same crew. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The devil, the demons been there for a long, long time. They said who was running with Penland. Come on, they're going to work today. For the straight 25 years, they were running with Penland. You made them prime ministers. Come on, that's going to work. They can't cut me off. I'm paying for this. Let me go to work. I get some more time. I get about 2 more minutes. So what am I trying to tell you? Who killed Jesus? Caiaphas. Come on. That's the original mafia. Let's talk about the mafia for a minute. What the mafias do? A religious organization. They pray to saints. They burn saints as part of their ritual, the mafia. What they do, they sit down and plot hits. What did Caiaphas do? You don't think Caiaphas had demons? But this demon came as an angel of light. He was a foaming and dribbling at the mouth. No, sir. He was sitting down planning hits. How am I going to kill Jesus? It's the original mafia. I'm talking with the Pharisees now. Look at King Herod, the original. How much demons he had? He was killing little children. Think about it. You got him killing little children. Same thing they do in the United States. Who is that president who allowed Roe versus Wade? Think about it. Think about how much demons he had to have to say, you know what, let's go ahead and abort children. Think about who else was there? Pilate. They used to worship Caesar as a demigod. They used to worship other men. So what I'm trying to tell you is, let me wrap all this up because I run out of time. I'm trying to tell you is, we know how demonic activity looks. You see from generation to generation. This person go to jail, the son go to jail, the father go to jail, the grandfather goes to jail. It's a cycle, a revolving door. Because there's no reform. But the problem is, we're not only not reforming the most helpless in society, it's the ones up top who perpetuating all this with all the systemic poverty, who allowing a black market to keep up the GDP because, see, they need gambling. Because, see, if they teething enough money, they need something else to give people jobs. So we keeping them in. But guess what? Those are the ones with the demons that come as an angel of light. And see, and because they perpetuating this, you praising them, you putting them on a pedestal. But instead, they allowing these spirits in. It's all about, and that's why you should pray for your leaders. So really all this is about me saying pray for your leaders. We got to pray for them, but not only for them, pray with them. And that's why I started with saying, you don't pray for your husband, you pray with your husband. You don't just pray for you. You can see the husband is the leader of the family. I'm talking about all in the parliament. You can't just pray for them, you got to pray with them. If you get them to pray with you, then you can make a breakthrough. So God, pray that you may pray with people and not just for people. We pray that you may guide us, protect us, and help us in all things that Heavenly Father say the truth. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.